Good morning, students. God bless you. It's been a great pleasure to be here this beautiful, bright morning, taking the first class for GNS204. GNS204 is also known by title as Introduction to Entrepreneurship Skills. Like in the times past, I've always said it, that students hold this university management a great deal of gratitude for initiating this course as a way of ensuring that upon our graduation from this university, students of Olabisi Onabanjo University have opportunity to learn a trade or skill while in the university pursuing their graduate degrees. To this end, we are on GNS 204, General Nigerian Studies, course code 204, two units, and the assessment pattern is such that the practical score is 60 marks, while the theoretical part that will be examined is 40 marks. The course outline is as follows. We'll take crop production, and this crop production enterprise include the following: arable crops production, tree crops, or what you call fruit crops production as the second one, and also the dry season crop production, that is also called fadama. Upon completion of the three listed outlines, students will also be taken through livestock production enterprises, which will include poultry divided into three as broiler production enterprise, cockerel production enterprise, and layer beds production enterprise. Layer beds are the ones that produce the egg that we consume. Followed by pig production enterprise, sheep and goat production enterprise, and upon the completion of that too, we'll go to shoe and sandal production enterprise. Next in line is tie and dye production enterprise, while the students of engineering, faculty of engineering, in the College of Engineering and Environmental Studies CEES Ibogun campus will be working on electrical circuits production. And lastly, we have horticulture and landscaping production. All of this will be rounded off with practicals on the enterprises that have been listed in the outline. My name is Abayomi Bada, and I will be taking entrepreneurship skills in crop production. This session outlines the various steps to be taken in acquiring entrepreneurship skills in agriculture, especially on principles of crop production and techniques. Also, classification of crops, uses, and time of production, as with maturity, harvesting, and marketing of crops. The focus of this session is to introduce entrepreneurship skills on crop production to our students And at the end of the class, students should be able to define crop production. They should be able to itemize the principles of crop production. Also, students are expected to understand what is horticulture, ornamentals, as well as landscape production. Also, we will take students through crop production practices, just as I mentioned earlier. Here we go, students. There's undoubtedly a growing need for entrepreneurship education as a basic skill in the Nigerian educational system. Integration of entrepreneurship studies into university education will prepare the youths to be responsible, enterprising individuals who will become entrepreneurs and contribute to economic development and sustainable economic development of this country. Entrepreneurship is a veritable tool for solving the ever-growing unemployment challenge of the Nigerian government. The main goal of entrepreneurship is to empower graduates, irrespective of their area of specialization, with skills that will enable them to engage in income-yielding ventures, whether they are gainfully employed or they are unable to secure paid jobs. In other words, entrepreneurship is a reorientation from the take a job mentality to make a job mentality. It is an approach of becoming your own boss and not dependent on paid jobs. Entrepreneurship is very crucial in the development of economies globally. It initiates and constitutes positive economic change in the structure of business and the society. Entrepreneurship increases the growth and per capita output, income, and sustainable innovation. Investment is enhanced through entrepreneurship, thereby creating new capital for capacity building. Where entrepreneurship is promoted, unemployment is drastically reduced and brought to the barest minimum. Entrepreneurs must possess various skills and know-how. To be able to succeed. And one area of our focus is on the agricultural aspect, which I am handling now, on the agricultural aspect of the economy, especially crops and animals production, and also how people can be empowered through self-help without losing out in the economy of the country. To this end, therefore, students, I wish to let you know that agriculture plays 5 main roles. Agriculture plays 5 main roles for sustainable development of every agrarian economy. The first and perhaps the most crucial is the supply of food, which is expected to be available to people in adequate quantity and quality and at affordable prices nationwide. Other roles agriculture is expected to play include supply of raw materials for domestic and agro-industrial purposes. Also, it is expected to play a role in generation of income to farming households and generation of foreign exchange through export of agricultural commodities. In view of the aforementioned on entrepreneurship studies and skills, it is important and relevant to let students go through the following. 1. What are crops? Crops are plants which have been identified, domesticated and cultivated by man for various uses, including food, which is the most important. Crops range from those crops which require elaborate and expensive production as well as processing methods to the basic crops which are widely grown by small-scale farmers and are consumed locally. Principles of crop production, that is, techniques and cultural practices involved. The principles of crop production are the practical cultivation procedures, techniques, and cultural practices involved in crop production ventures. The techniques are cultural practices which generally cut across arable crops production, tree or fruit crops production, and horticulture and ornamental production. However, there are specific techniques and cultural practices involved in certain crops production. The principle of crops production, therefore, are all the activities that are carried out on the farm before, during, and after planting of crops, seed, or seedlings. When we say before, those are pre-planting methods, and when you say during, those are planting methods, and when you say after, they are post-planting methods. Once again, the principle of crops production are all the activities carried out on the farm before, during, and after planting of crops, seeds, or seedlings. Pre-planting, that is before operations. When you say pre-planting operations, a bracket in front of it, just put before planting. Pre-planting operations. This involves the following. 1. Choice of site. Well, yeah, you see, when you want to go into crop production, you say, I want to be a crop farmer. The first thing to do is the choice of site. You must be able to choose the site that you want to use. Where am I going to plant? Because your planting is going to be on the field, on the farm, not inside the bedroom, not in your toilet, not within the estate, but actually on the farm. So the choice of site. The choice of site is guided by the nature of land. The nature of the land, the soil type, that is the type of soil that you have there, and finally, availability of inputs that are going to be. Inputs are the materials that you need, the farm input, that is the tractor, the seed, the fertilizer, the herbicide, the insecticide. All those ones are availability, comes under availability of inputs. The other one there, after choice of site, you have chosen your site adequately well. The next one is land clearing and preparation. The nature of the vegetation determines the equipment or tools to be used. The farm site can be cleared by means of hand tools such as cutlasses, hacks, etc., or mechanical equipment such as the bulldozer, but limited clearing is needed in the savanna region. Activities involved in land clearing and land preparation include land clearing. Number 2, stumping. Number 3, burning and packing of trash. When you say stumping, it is the removal of stumps, trees, or shrubs that are cut and cannot be cut to the ground level. You have to remove them so that they don't become obstacles to mechanical activities on the farm. Having said that, the next operation under this land preparation is tillage operations. In brackets, put tilling, Tilling. This involves Are we there? I said tillage or tilling. This involves opening up of the soil for seed planting. This involves opening up of the soil for seed planting. It's not for seed planting alone. It could be for seed planting, it could be for seedling, it could be for budded plants as well. Seedlings or seed. Are we there? Now, this can be done with the simple farm tools like hoe or India hoe on a small scale farm, or it can be done mechanically using a tractor-driven disc plow or disc harrow on a commercial large-scale farm. In mechanized tillage, the field is plowed to break up the soil, and it is thereafter harrowed. Harrowed is Harrowed. Harrowed to break up large clods of soil, thereby resulting the large clods, CLODS, lumps of soil, resulting from plowing. When you plow, soil clods will come. There will be soil clods. But that soil clod that exists, or that result from plowing, can be further broken down. What you call pulverization. It can be further pulverized, broken down to smaller fragments through the equipment that is called harrow. Are we there? Through equipment that is called harrow. So that was why I said in mechanized tillage, the field is plowed to break up the soil and further harrowed to break up large clods of soil resulting from plowing before the ridger or beds can be made if necessary. This is also termed pulverization. I've mentioned that earlier. Having done that, you have done your plowing, you have done your harrowing, you have done your ridging. The next thing to do is to plant. And this is determined by the planting materials that you are going to use. Students, let's go to planting materials. The particular seed variety or type of seed to be planted is what we refer to as planting material. The particular seed variety or the type of seed to be planted. For instance, for cassava, you may say you want to plant TME 419, that is tropical manioc species, that is early maturing 419. It is called 419 because it has a very slender stem, and the yield from that slender stem is always fantastic because it has a deceptive look with the stem compared to the yield that results when they get mature. So the particular seed variety or the type to be planted is called the planting material. It may be seed or seedling for transplanting to the field from the nursery. However, good stocks of planting material are basic to profitable crop production. The seed or planting materials largely determines the quantity and quality of the harvested produce. Please, as a potential entrepreneur in agriculture, the advantages of using good stocks cannot be compromised. The advantages of using good stocks of planting materials cannot be compromised, as it will reduce cost of cleaning, standardization, and disinfection. Because if the seed stock is not good, you have to clean, you have to standardize, and you have to disinfect. But once it is of good stock, it will reduce cost of cleaning, standardization, and disinfection. Also, when you have very good stock of planting material, there will be uniform germination, thereby eliminating replanting or supplying of missing stand, which increases the cost. Also, with good stock of seedlings or planting material, there is vigorous seedling growth, which reduces weed and disease damages. Also, uniform growth rates, uniform maturity rates, and very good products result from good planting materials. We go to viability test, what you call seed testing. This is a test that is carried out to test for the germination ability of the seed of a crop that has been selected as planting material. This viability test is done to determine how viable the seeds are for germination. And the viability test is carried out through the following methods. Number one, floating method. Floating. A sample of the seed is obtained, say 100 seeds counted from the planting material stock is put inside water. When you have 100 in water, if 70 of that 100 sinks to the bottom of the water and 30 floats after counting, the 30 that floats are considered less viable, while the 70 that sinks are considered very, very viable. It then means that 70 out of 100 gives you 70% germination percentage. The second one is seed exposure method. What do you call seed exposure method? You plant your seed on the field directly, and the number that you planted is counted. Say 100 as well. You plant. When you plant that 100, and after the expected number of days when they are supposed to germinate, for instance, in maize is expected to germinate between 4 and 5 days. Within the 4 to 5 days, maize is expected to germinate. When you get there, upon getting there, only 50 germinates. It means that 50 out of 100, it means that it is 50%. So you cannot go to your major field. The last one is the laboratory method, that is called indoor and outdoor laboratory method, where seeds are planted in the laboratory to determine their germination ability, and the number that germinated is taken out of the number that does not germinate to determine the percentage of the seeds that can germinate. Having done your planting material, you have done your viability test. The next thing to do is to determine your planting pattern. Planting pattern. What is called planting pattern? This is the arrangement of a crop on a piece of land. And I say again, the planting pattern refers to the arrangement of a crop on a piece of land. They are either broadcasted, that is, the planting pattern includes the following. Either broadcasting, that is, seeds that are very, very small, that you have to broadcast. And when it means broadcast, that is, you throw those seeds, you put it in a bowl, you throw a critical example of that is the seeds of vegetables. Vegetable seeds are so tiny, in fact, very tiny, that you cannot hold just one with your fingertips. You cannot. So in most cases, they are either broadcasted. When you do broadcast, that is, you hold it and you throw it so that many of them spread. You spread it over large area of land. Apart from this broadcasting, you can also plant at stake. When you plant at stake, it means that you are planting directly into the spot where they are supposed to be. Maize, for instance, maize seeds are big, and then you put them where they should be, planting, directly into the soil. That's what we mean by saying you plant a stake. Also, another pattern of planting is to plant through drilling method. You drill. When you drill, you dig a shallow trench or a hollow part on your bed, and the seeds that are tiny is gently spread along the hollow part that you have created, and little bit of soil is used to cover them up, so that when rain falls, it will not wash them away. In no time, they will germinate. A critical example of things that we can broadcast or drill are celosia, that is the one you call celosia seed, the one you call shoko in Yoruba language. Another one is amaranthus seeds, the one you call tete in Yoruba language, amaranthus. The other one is ewedu, the one we call cocoros. All those ones, you can plant them through drilling, okay, or through broadcasting. While you plant the ones that can be held by fingertips, that are bigger seeds, you plant them at stake. In all, and in practice, shallow furrows are made and the seeds are planted when we are talking about broadcasting under planting pattern. Distinguished students, another aspect that I want us to go through is the seed rate. When you say seed rate, what is seed rate? What is seed rate? And seed rate is the amount or quantity of material to be planted in a specific area of land. Take it again from me. Seed rate. Seed rate. We are taking you through this because as potential entrepreneurs in agriculture, you must know what seed rate is, so that nobody will cheat you, so that nobody will know. You don't open yourself to cheating by people around you. Seed rate is the amount or the quantity of materials to be planted in a specific area of land, and it is usually calculated in terms of acre, that is, or hectare. Farmlands are calculated in terms of acre or hectare. And 1 acre of land, just 1 acre of land, equals 4,000 meters squared. That is 100 meters by 40 meters. 4,000. That is 1 acre of land. 1 hectare of land is 100 meters length, 100 meters breadth. Area of land calculated is length times breadth. 100 times 100 is 10,000 meter squared. That is area, that is 1 hectare of land. And I'm going further to tell you that 1 acre is 4,000 meters squared, 100 meters by 40 meters. It then means that 2.5 acres will be equal to 1 hectare. If 4,000 is 1 acre, 4,000 multiplied by 2.5 will give you 10,000 meters squared. That is, 2.5 acres will then be 1 hectare. The local ways of knowing area of land too is possible, and I should teach you that. I should let you understand that seize standard plots of land, 60 by 120. 6 standard plots of land at 60 by 120, that is 60 feet by 120 feet, will give you 1 acre. 6 standard plots of land. 6 standard plots of land. A standard plot of land is 60 feet by 120 feet. 6 of such in one location is 1 acre. Also, 15 of such in one location, in just one spot, will also give you 1 hectare. Learn it by heart today, that seed rate is the amount or quantity of materials to be planted in a specific area of land, say 1 acre or 1 hectare. Having dealt with that, we then quickly go to spacing and plant population in crop production enterprise. Spacing and plant population in crop production enterprise. Spacing. spacing. This is the spatial allowance allotted to each stand of a crop from where it will exploit all its nutrient needs. Take it again. The spatial allowance allotted to each stand of a crop to exploit for all its needs during its production cycle. Adequate spacing of crops is important for good yield. Spacing the crops optimally reduces plants' competition for sunlight, moisture, air, and nutrients. 4 things that are essential for crop growth: sunlight, air, moisture, and the soil nutrients. Those 4 things are what plants need to grow, and they must be available in the right quantity in the soil for crops to do very well. Having said that, I then want us to know that adequate spacing is important for good yield, and the ultimate yield from a unit area of land is contributed to by the plants that are growing on it. The yield is determined by the area of land and the space that is allotted to each crop to grow on it. Are we there? Excessively wide, please note, excessively wide or narrow spacing. Excessively wide or narrow spacing leads to reduction in yield, and as an agripreneur, you are likely to lose money if your yield is poor. So what we are trying to say in essence is that for people that are just coming into agriculture, there is a need for us to know that even as a university graduate, government allows you to have a farm, and nobody will query you on that. In fact, government allows you to have a small farm or have a farm that can give you extra income, because the government is desirous of feeding the teeming population of this nation. So take an advantage. Start learning agriculture now that you're in the university. Take interest in agriculture. If your interest is not in crop production, let your interest be in livestock production. And I make bold to tell you this morning, students, that agriculture is a morning spinning business, because everybody depends on agriculture for food. Have you ever seen anybody that eats anything apart from what comes from agriculture as crops or livestock? There are no synthetic foods. And I just want to pray that even if there are synthetic things that can keep you alive, it shall not be your portion. Having said that, the exact spacing for any crop, however, depends on the soil productivity, location, and the time of planting. The following are to be noted in spacing of crops. Number 1, interspacing. This is space between one ridge and another ridge. If you have ridges, a ridge here, a ridge here, that's the space between. The space between my 2 hands here that are running parallel is the one you call interspacing. Are we there? Then the next one is intraspacing. When you say intraspacing, it is the space between one crop and another. You can see the way I structure my hand, between one crop and another on the same ridge. One is here, the following one, along that same ridge. That is intraspacing. So the space between one plant spot and the next plant spot on the same ridge is called intra-spacing. And that is the reason when you see farmers, they talk about spacing, they talk about a 30 by 60 centimeters, or they talk about 90 by 60 centimeters. If they say 90 by 60, it means that the plants, the ridges are 90 centimeters apart, while the plants are 60 centimeters apart on the ridge. Are we there? Now you have planted. Given that you have planted, when you plant, and I told you earlier, I said you need very good stock of planting material so that it will reduce your expenditure. Now, if you plant stocks of planting materials that are not good, you then will need to supply, because you don't want to leave those spaces. You don't want your field to be scanty. You have to supply. You have to supply, and that is what we are taking now. Supplying, supplying, supplying. This is the act of replacing ungerminated seed or dead germinated seeds by planting the particular spot or area where they did not germinate. Are we there? This will increase the cost of the farmer, because you have to buy fresh seeds to the plant. Having done that, another one here is to say thinning. What is thinning? Thinning is THINNING. This is the act of reducing the number of plants per stand. It may be due to overcrowding or much seeds that are planted together in a particular given spot or area. The less vigorous and excess plants above the required plant density per stand, if it is 2, should be removed very early, not later than 4 weeks after germination. What we are saying is, if maize is planted 2 seeds per hole, if you are planting maize at 2 seeds per hole, and then you detect that you are having a place where you have 4 seeds growing, you have 6 somewhere, you have 7 somewhere, the best thing to do is to remove the excess. And in removing the excess, we are removing the ones that are the weakest, the weakest of the 6. If out of the 6, the strongest 2 are left, the weakest 4 are removed. Are we there? You have done what is called thinning. Then from there we go to cultural activities on the field, which will involve weeds and weeding. What are weeds? Weeds. A weed is a plant that is growing out of place. That is, a plant that is growing where it is not wanted. That is the weed. A plant that is growing where it is not wanted is a weed. A plant that is growing out of place is a weed. Weeds are best controlled before they produce seed. Therefore, weeding is the act of removing unwanted plants where they are not wanted. Weeding is the act of removing unwanted plants where they are not wanted. Removal of weed is either by hand or it is done mechanically through the use of herbicides, which are weed killers. They are generally applied as suspension in water through spray. That is, herbicides are generally applied as suspension in water through spray. Weeds reduce the yield of crops. It harbors plant diseases and pests, and it competes with plants for sunlight, water, nutrients, and feeding space, thereby reducing the income of the farmers. Then we go to the next one, mulching. Mulching. What is mulching? M-U-L-C-H-I-N-G. Mulching. Mulching. This refers to the act of covering the soil with dead organic matters, which may be of plant and animal origin. It is used to conserve moisture in the soil. It inhibits the growth of weeds and adds to soil fertility. Then we go to The next one. After mulching, you have mulched your material, you know what mulching is now. We go to fertilizer and fertilizers application. What are fertilizers? Fertilizer is any substance that contains one or more recognized plant nutrients needed for plant growth and optimum yield. They are inorganic or organic materials. These are applied to replenish nutrients that are removed from the soil by crops or are lost through leaching. It then takes us to leaching. The leaching is the process by which soil nutrients are lost through downward movement. The soil nutrients, move down the soil, thereby getting to the region where the plant roots cannot take them up. That is leaching. And or the nutrients may become fixed or immobilized by microorganisms to reduce crop yield. Therefore, fertilizers are applied. Fertilizers are applied such that they can replenish the nutrients present in the soil and increase crop yield and also improve crop quality. Methods of fertilizer application. Fertilizers are applied through the following methods. Is either you apply through broadcasting, you put it in bowls and spread them, scatter them, broadcasting. They are also done, fertilizers are also applied through ring method. That is, where the plant is, you do a ring not more than 15 centimeters away from the plant and drop the fertilizer in shallow trench around the plant. The other one is pocket method or band placement. You dig a hole beside the spot, you dig a hole and put it in there and cover. That is band placement in just one place beside the crop. Then the other one is spraying method. You can spray fertilizer, and the fertilizers that are sprayed are the ones that you call liquid fertilizers. Liquid fertilizers, they are sprayed. Next to this, we are on crop production enterprise, and next here is insecticide and insecticide application. What are insecticides? Insecticides are selective poisons which lethal action and effect is partly greater on insects than on any other forms of life. Insecticides may be applied on field crops and stored produce if and when necessary against insect infestation or attacks. Generally, insecticides are the first line of defense in insect pest outbreak because they are usually very effective and generally they act within a short period of time. Harvesting, weighing, and storage. Harvesting is the deliberate act of removing the desired matured material parts of planted crop, which may be the leaf, the fruit, the stem, the root, and or the tuber. And in some cases, it could even be the whole plant of the cultivated crop that is harvested from the field. This could be done through the following methods. Harvesting could be done through number one, plucking. I said harvesting. As it is the deliberate act of removing the desired mature material part of a planted crop, which could be the leaf, the fruit, the stem, the root, and or the tuber, or even the whole plant itself through any of the following methods. Plucking, Plucking. Plucking. You can pluck. The other one is cutting. You cut some part of. Another one is uprooting. You uproot your plant with the aid of materials. That is, materials that are used for harvesting now will include the knife, the sickle, sickle, the one that looks like a question mark. Students, you should be aware of this in your secondary school. The sickle looks like a question mark, that farm tool. The other one is, it can be through the pole, it can be through cutlass, it can be through hoe, and it can be done mechanically. Weighing is very, very necessary in order to determine the yield of your crop as a farmer. When the useful plants reach maturity, crops are ready for harvesting. Maturity may not be easy to determine in all crops, but it is usually related to the age of the crop. As a general guide and rule, a crop is considered to have matured when the harvestable parts have accumulated maximum dry matter that is consumable. At the point the harvestable part ceases to increase in size, maturity is said to have set in. Maturity may also be accompanied by color changes. In grains, maturity is associated with reduction in moisture content. Harvesting of matured fruits ensures maximum yield. Delayed harvesting is sometimes advisable, particularly in grain crops, where it is necessary to facilitate handling and storage. In fruit and leaf crops, high moisture content is preferred. The time of harvesting depends on characteristics and quality requirements of a crop. Although root and tuber crops store better in the soil, they depreciate in quality when harvesting is delayed. For example, cassava roots may become too fibrous in dry soil, or they may start to rot in very wet soil when harvesting is delayed. Storage, however, is the act of keeping harvested farm produce and materials. The storage of food crops in the tropics is a problem during the humid months, particularly when air humidity is very high for an extended period. Insect pests of various kinds are frequently present and can cause serious losses during storage. Nursery. A nursery is a ground in which young plants are reared before they are transplanted to the field, where they are expected to grow until they are harvested. They are raised under intensive care prior to transplanting to the field in the nursery. Although many crop plants can be and are directly sown as stake, that is directly to the field, e.g. maize, cucumber, okra, cowpea, yam, and cocoa, cola, coffee, etc. Some can also be raised in the nursery, and because they perform better in the nursery before they are transplanted to the field. Example of this is cocoa, cola, coffee, cashew, tomato, eggplant, and the likes. Raising seedling in the nursery afford the farmers an opportunity to select well-grown, vigorous, disease and pest-free seedlings for transplanting. Root vegetables such as carrot, radish have small seeds but are planted directly because transplanting adversely affects the quality of the roots. In some cases, topsoil must be sterilized through heating for 30 to 40 minutes, and the mixture should be sealed to remove large clods and soil aggregates before they are used in planting some nursery crops. Types of nurseries. There are 3 types of nurseries, namely peasant nursery. Peasant P-E-A-S-A-N-T, peasant nursery. The second one is also called temporary nursery, and the third one is called standard nursery. A nursery can be classified as any site that is relatively flat and is used for raising and caring for crops before they are transplanted to the field. And a nursery can be chosen as long as the following conditions are available. 1. Permanent supply of water. 2. Nearness to planting site. 3. Fertile soil with good drainage system. 4. A source of permanent windbreak. Yes, you plant trees, tall trees that can serve as shade to prevent heavy windstorm from destroying or damaging plants in the nursery. Number 5, availability of labor. Labor should be available, readily available in that environment. Number 6, nearness to market. Nearness to market. From here, we go to the one that is called the yield. In arable crops, there are diversity of the useful products. Yield, therefore, refers to the quantity of the produce that is obtained and harvested per unit area of land over a period of time from a given crop that is planted. E.g., the quantity of maize that is harvested within 3 months of its production cycle in 1 hectare of land. In some crops, nearly the entire plant is utilized, while in others, only part of the crops, such as the fruit or seeds, are needed. Many crops are grown for their seed, in which case flowering and seed formation are of primary concern. The required produce may be the stored nutrients such as oil and protein in seeds, while carbohydrates in yam or cassava or fiber associated with stem or the leaf of fruits are desired in some crops, especially in kenaf or sisal M, where the fiber is required. Therefore, yield is determined and associated to the following factors, which mentioned earlier on: the air available, the moisture, the nutrients present in the soil. Then we quickly go to drying. What is drying? Drying is the method by which moisture content of the crop is removed or reduced considerably to prevent spoilage. That is drying. That's the general principles of crop production that we are going to touch today. At our next lecture, we will go to arable crops production per se. We will start with arable crops production and treat arable crops the way we should treat it, such that we want to stimulate your interest in this aspect of entrepreneurship. And I make bold to say that we're all going to enjoy this aspect. I thank you for listening this morning, and I hope that we'll have more of you in class subsequently. Good morning. God bless. Have a great week ahead.